Everything versus everything. Fight!
Hello everyone and welcome to Everything vs. Everything, episode 15. I think it's episode 15. Is it episode 15?
Sounds right.
Yes. Yay! Coming to you not live over the internet, which might become relevant later. Yes,
Spoilers.
but spoilers. Yeah, we can't possibly compromise the narrative structure of this by revealing our subject too early on, can we?
Well, maybe we can hint at it though it comes across as, oh, they mentioned that reason for that. It's all connected.
Yeah, you'll get a sort of nice frisson of understanding when we finally get to that section. You're like, oh, it all makes sense. All the pieces fall into place. Devilishly clever plan that we laid out from the very beginning. Anyway, yeah, who are you guys? I'm Alex, by the way.
I'm Ewan.
I'm Mark.
Yay! You've been on it before. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Doing good. Again, we're recording a really lovely weather kind of day, so it seems to be a running theme. And the police are in the background as well.
It is. I hope people appreciate this. We're all inside. It's nice outside. The police are outside. I don't know why. What have you done now, Ewan?
Just need to get out of here. That's the main thing, Mark.
But you've managed to use this podcast to avoid having a haircut, Mark.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I'm appearing on the podcast rather than getting my hair cut, because any excuse will do. So, yeah, here I am, talking to you fine people.
Unfortunately, it's a trap, Mark. We're actually going to give you a haircut live on the podcast.
Wow.
Alex, bring out the shears.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll be doing that in between the sections, so stay tuned. Well, don't stay tuned, you won't hear it, but you just know that it's happening.
You can put like a sound effect of like snipping scissors on or
Yeah,
something.
I'm going to have to do that now. I'll do that instead of the usual transition music. Okay, so let's begin that process now with the transition into Bring a Thing. Now, in Bring a Thing, we begin our weekly quest to put everything in the world in order from best to worst by bringing some random things that we've thought of. They can be anything at all. Who would like to begin this fine day?
Okay, I'll bring a thing. My thing is Batman. Batman. The Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight. So Batman.
That's more music that Alex needs to find.
Sorry, Alex. Sorry, future Alex, actually.
Is that from Batman? That?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
It was probably in that time zone where a lot of that kind of shows were using the same thing. Though I'm sure it was the Adam West Batman that sort of did popularize that kind of cheesy, campy style. That's actually one of the things I want to talk about Batman, is that for the people that don't know who Batman is, which there might be people out there that don't know who Batman is.
True.
It's always possible.
Yes.
He's a superhero character, a famous DC comic superhero character that's been around for quite a few years, and his whole thing is that he, by day, is a sort of rich or millionaire Bruce Wayne, but by night he's a vigilante who dresses himself up as sort of a Batman person and fights crime. One thing that's quite interesting about Batman is that he doesn't have any superpowers, as you'd say, or if he does, his superpower is money, because he basically builds these sort of gadgets that he uses to fight criminals with. But in terms of like traditional superpowers, he's not got super strength or flying or sight powers or ray beams or anything like that, which I think almost every other recognizable superhero does have something that makes them like super. Batman is canon-wise a regular man who just uses his brains and his financial wealth to sort of stand up as a superhero kind of thing. What's interesting I find about Batman compared to a lot of other super beings, superheroes and superheroines, is the number of different characterizations there have been over the years compared to, say, someone like Superman, which has stayed pretty consistent. A few minor changes, but overall, Superman sort of always been a sort of a straight-laced sort of fighter against evil. Batman has been like, as we've said with the Adam West thing, kind of like a sort of campy, cartoonish character. He's been in the sort of the Tim Burton sort of a more kind of darker superhero, the George Clooney one, which brought a bit more of that campness back to it, and then the recent Christopher Nolan ones where it's very serious and brought into realism kind of territory. Yeah, he's a character that's actually had more kind of, he's been explored more by writers than majority of other superheroes, I think, in fiction. I can imagine. Maybe it's because the fact that he's a regular human being to a certain extent. I don't know, he seems more realistic, so he can be sort of told in a lot of different varieties of ways, kind of thing. How about you guys? What do you think about Batman?
I think it's weird. I'm not the biggest superhero guy. I like Batman in a lot of his guises. I think it's a bit weird that he's so popular and he's a billionaire. Because you'd sort of, on some level, I sort of prefer for a superhero to be, or I would imagine that I would prefer a superhero to be an everyman type who I can relate to, and then they get this superpower and it's like, oh, it's a fantasy. But he's already not anything like a normal person. He's already a super rich person who, in real life, you'd probably be like, don't really like him because he's got lots of money.
I think we prefer superheroes to be underdogs to begin with. Even more, not even everyman, you know.
That's true, yeah. And Iron Man is the same way.
Yeah.
Iron Man is very similar, I guess.
I think Batman comes from as an American character to a certain extent, and I can kind of see it's coming from Americans sort of holding up wealth and sort of success and sort of like the American dream and that. I mean, to a certain extent, Bruce Wayne, Batman's alter ego, inherits his wealth, so he's more of a sort of a philanthropist sort of character in that. But I guess American culture kind of celebrates the wealthy as like, oh, that's the pinnacle, and in real terms, that's the superheroes of our country.
Most Americans do tend to think I'm just not rich yet, and I will be at some point, and maybe when they're rich, they can become Batman. Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed the Adam West version when I was a kid. I liked all of the little graphics that would appear on the screen with the kapow and boom and crunch and all of that nonsense. The best thing about that series was the way everything was labelled. Like in the Batmobile, there'd be Batmobile start button would be labelled, and gear change stick would be labelled, and emergency parachute thing would be labelled, and you'd go around the Batcave and it would be Bat computer on this thing that was obviously a Bat computer, whatever a Bat computer is, I don't know. but that was pretty funny. That appealed to my sense of order, I suppose. When I was a kid. The Michael Keaton version, that's the Tim Burton one, isn't it? Yeah, we like that one too. Then I kind of lost interest for a bit, but I do like the Christopher Nolan ones. Well, I'm not sure I can be bothered with Batman Begins. Can anybody be bothered with Batman Begins?
It's fine.
It's alright.
It's fine.
It's alright.
It does the job.
Dark Knight's great though.
Yeah, Dark Knight's I think the main one of that trilogy. I think we all know. And it's funny enough because I think with Nolan's one is that the Batman character is okay, but there's not too much detail into him. It's more kind of the world around reacting to Batman's sort of appearance and sort of involvement. And then of course Dark Knight with the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, I think everyone walked away from that sort of thing, and that's the highlight of that film, was sort of seeing this sort of chaotic being going up against this sort of agent of order or something. And
that's a great film. It also shows one of the things that's kind of troubling about a lot of superheroes. Well, especially we were saying Batman doesn't have the superpower and does become injured. Yeah, you know, and you see that in all three of those films. Actually, Alfred needs to put him back together. You know, and that's maybe a good thing to see, that we see this isn't magic. This is sort of reasonably high tech armor he's wearing, which is protecting him quite a lot of the time. As soon as he's worked out what it is, and he does get cuts and bruises and what you'd expect when he gets thrown off buildings.
It sort of takes some of the kind of like glorification of like action films away, sort of thing, which a lot of Hollywood blockbusters, anyone that gets hurt, they'll get up in the next scene and all's fine and dandy. They'll walk off into the sunset. One of the interesting things about Batman is they kind of focus in on the vigilante aspect. Is this man right to sort of take it into his own hands to enforce law and order? He's not been elected, he's not been hired by the state to do it, he's not a police officer or anything like that, he's just a very rich individual who's deciding, I'm going to fight crime. And there's a lot of stories that explore in that aspect of like superhero genre, which is like these individuals that are, because of their fantastical powers of that, are fighting evil kind of thing. That's one of the things I think is why Batman is different from other superhero stories. They'll go into aspects or points that other superhero stories don't usually do as much.
I assume we're talking about the franchise of Batman rather than the character specifically. Or are we talking about character mainly?
Mainly the character, but it's hard to say like where the franchise begins and where the character ends.
Because I was thinking, if we were talking about the franchise, like one of my favourite things about it as a sort of universe is the villains. I think. It has better villains than any other superhero thing, I think. Like, in terms of just the array of them, and they're silly. Like they're pretty silly. Like a lot of Batman is sort of inherently silly, and even the Christopher Nolan ones, I hear a lot of people criticize them these days for being overly serious or whatever. I didn't really see them that way, because I saw it as taking something fairly silly incredibly seriously, and to me there's something quite fun about that.
I agree with that.
Logical, I think. Yeah, and the fact
Sort of over the top and gritty and dark, but
because it is challenging.
Yeah, and it has elements of social commentary in it, but it's sort of also heightened and fantastical. I like that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is about Batman is he's a guy that decides to dress up as a bat.
Yeah.
Which, just look at it from that point of view, it's a bit of a weirdo.
I know.
Why a bat, particularly?
Putting the bat prefix on things is inherently funny to me.
The Bat Cave, the Batman, the Batmobile,
Batarang.
Yeah, it's a little bit like okay kind of thing. But because I guess he's been around for so long, or that it's sort of it's acceptable to a certain extent. And like his villains, as you sort of brought up, Alex, are quite interesting because the villains are kind of dark aspects of himself to a certain extent. Like the Joker is sort of a version of Batman that goes with chaos instead of order and that kind of thing. Same with it's like Mr. Freeze as well. He's got his own kind of aspect of like how he wants to sort of affect the world, but then he's just evil instead of Batman that's good. So Batman in a sense is like fighting the evil versions of himself that sort of crop up. I mean, other superheroes and superhero films especially do that. Like the Iron Man series of films, they're all kind of the villains that he fights are kind of evil paths that Tony Stark could have gone down himself. The first one is like a rich sort of weapon seller character that he ends up defeating, and the second one it's this mechanical sort of genius from I think Russia or something that sort of again could have been how Stark could have gone down because he loses his own father and something. I don't know, it's hard to remember what Iron Man 2 was about really. But I do remember it being the fact that all the characters that he fights are actually different versions of Tony Stark to a certain extent, but they're evil kind of thing.
Yeah, because you can't really just have you can, but films don't tend to have just a sort of battle at the end that's just purely physical. There's usually some metaphorical aspect of it where the villain is like, but don't you understand, we're just the same as each other, and then by defeating the villain they're going, no we're not, because I just beat you in a fight. So,
or like going to Dark Knight for that, the Joker sort of like saying you complete me kind of thing, you're my opposite, sort of you're order and I'm chaos, I love that we are together kind of thing, you basically make it so that I can do what I can do, you feed me or something. It's a very strange relationship, but it's the most famous of the two relationships. It probably is the most famous superhero supervillain kind of relationship in popular media. Sort of
I'd say so.
But Batman,
good thing to bring.
I think he's the first superhero on the list. Super character.
I think he is.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, so it's hard to know where to place him, because it's always harder to place something if there's no precedent for it on the list. But, I mean, in terms of being a sort of cultural icon, I suppose, he's probably quite high up, I would say.
I'd say having around where Mario is feels pretty appropriate.
Mario's sort of a superhero in his own way.
Yeah, in his own way he sort of fits into the mold a little bit. He doesn't have quite the same thing. He's the Mario sort of universe. It's the games sort of universe.
Well, Mario's worked his way up from nothing, hasn't he? Because he's just a plumber that's on his day off wandering around picking up mushrooms and hitting boxes and things.
Mario lore is not entirely clear sometimes. Like I'm sure there's versions of it where he actually lives in the real world and then he goes through to the Mushroom Kingdom somehow. And
I think that's the film, which I don't think Mario fans will actually be appreciating that, unfortunately. So
anyway.
Sorry, Mario fans.
I feel like Batman has more exploration and had more kind of different versions of himself than Mario has. Mario's just had like regular Mario, or Mario with a water gun, or Mario driving a car, or Mario playing tennis.
I mean, there's more complexity to the Batman character, I guess.
So maybe
Mario doesn't really have a dark brooding side.
Yeah, maybe a little higher than Mario.
Personally, I probably like Mario more, but I like both. So I'm happy to put Batman higher as he's had a greater impact. Maybe on culture.
I don't see how Batman can be any better than Red Pandas, though.
That's fine with me.
So there's your cut-off point.
Yeah.
That's, your absolute maximum.
That's
is
as
there.
far as I can go down that road. Fair enough. No, that's fine. I wouldn't put him any higher than Michelangelo's David myself, so Red Pandas is also fine.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, just under Red Pandas.
Just under Red Pandas?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I could put him above Pangolins.
He's better than Pangolins. I suppose he is. We didn't know Pangolins existed until we talked about them for this podcast, so, they need to get better PR.
Maybe
Need to see how Batman's PR agent is and we hire them.
I've been seeing more references to pangolins since discovering what pangolins are. I don't know if that's just that phenomenon where you hear a word and then you hear it again later in the day, but I feel like I've seen more references to pangolins lately than I had.
I think it's just it's the reach of this podcast, Alex. That's all it is.
Yeah, it has ripples.
The effects of the world.
Everybody's listening and everybody is acting upon what we tell them.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
We are the zeitgeist, so
Quite
that's
a lot
all.
of power, but with great power.
Hi, I'm Zeit, and I'm Geist.
That's Spider-Man, isn't it? Is that Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's
that's
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I think Batman's only just like, I'm Batman, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't really do the voice. Anyway, yeah, Batman enters at number 17. Well done, Batman. Good for you.
Hooray.
Do you want to go next, Mark? Or will I?
You can go next, Alex.
Okay,
That's
cool.
fine.
I will go next. I am bringing mayonnaise.
Oh.
I hate mayonnaise.
Hey! Huzzah!
No.
Hurrah!
Come on. Bye.
It's nice to have the roles reversed.
Very weird.
I resent mayonnaise for existing because it makes it so difficult to find a sandwich that I like.
Yes.
Like, it's not a neutral thing. It's not a thing where I can just avoid it and be like, it doesn't matter that it exists because I can just pretend it doesn't. Because every time I go and look for a sandwich somewhere like that has pre-prepared sandwich, pretty much all the ones that I would otherwise like have mayonnaise in them.
Preach, Alex, preach.
Oh God, I hate it. It's just
Mark is chomping at the bit. His head is in his hands.
I've spent so many minutes or hours of my life like squinting into sandwich cases and stuff, like just trying to see if that like creamy sort of bit at the side of the filling is just butter or if it's mayonnaise, and just going, I think it might be butter, but I don't want to risk it.
It's never butter.
And then if I buy it, I'm like, there's nothing like the feeling of just getting one bite into a sandwich and being like, this has got mayonnaise in it. I can't deny it anymore. And then I just know I have to throw it in the bin. I hate it.
In the bin it goes.
Oh God.
Wow.
Well, I'm pleased to meet someone who has stranger ideas about food than I have. I used to have a similar thing with anything that had lettuce or tomato in it.
Okay.
I still have it to a certain extent with anything that has tomato in it. But mayonnaise I came to terms with many, many years ago. And how we've managed to get two people quite so wrong about mayonnaise into the same room, I'm not sure. Mayonnaise is a fine thing. What are you talking about?
Okay, put your cases to
It's
the table.
just good. What is not to like?
It's
a cool, fresh taste. It's creamy and it's
not slimy. I don't like
mildly
creamy stuff.
unpleasant. The taste isn't the worst part. The worst part is the texture is just horrible. It's like wallpaper paste mixed with sick.
But it
Yes.
isn't. No.
It is.
And as Alice has pointed out, it insists upon itself in many sandwiches.
Yeah.
When it's like, stay out of some of these sandwiches, mayonnaise.
If they just like had a little sachet of mayonnaise included with the sandwich,
Yes.
because I know a lot of people who don't like mayonnaise.
Yes.
Like maybe they don't have as strong opinions on it as I do, but the ratio of people that I know who like it enough that they would prefer to have it in a sandwich versus people who don't like it enough that they would prefer not to have it is so... It doesn't make sense how many sandwiches have mayonnaise.
I will say this: if I make a sandwich myself, I don't generally put any mayonnaise in it, even though
course, why
there
would
will
you?
be a squirty thing of mayonnaise in our fridge.
You get a nice sandwich, you put in ingredients you want, you put in ingredients with their own distinctive flavours, you put in some nice cheese,
Right.
It's got a nice strong flavour, you put in tomato, which I like,
Or you don't if you're Mark.
you don't if you're Mark, you put in lettuce,
Roll.
just give it a little bit of a
Everything's wrong.
different texture, just to fill it out a bit, make it more filling and healthy, and maybe put in some cucumber, that's nice.
Unfortunately, I'm a very basic sandwich kind of person.
Oh yeah,
I
I am
put
too, I'm saying all this.
butter, ham, or chicken, and that's it
I
for
would
a sandwich.
I
Yep,
don't
fine.
even put butter in the sandwiches that I
Oh
make.
no.
Because
So-
I just don't want a sort of sticky, slimy substance in there. I want to know what I'm eating. I want to be biting into a bit and go, oh, that's cheese there and that's tomato. I don't want to go, this is a weird mush of
Right.
stuff.
So if you don't like mayonnaise, what do you have with your chips?
I mean, like
salt or...
salt and brown sauce.
Salt and brown sauce.
I don't have
Do
brown sauce.
you have
I
any sauce, Alex?
I have salt, sometimes vinegar, occasionally ketchup, but I'm not
Okay.
massive on that.
Let me suggest a thing to you. Chips and mayonnaise. You can thank me later.
I don't
You
think
will
I'll
love
thank
it.
you.
It is brilliant.
If you don't like
You
the
will
flavour
love
of
it,
mayonnaise,
and you
how
will
would
learn to love the flavour of mayonnaise.
You will learn to love the flavour.
Yes.
I like that.
4 million Belgians cannot be wrong. They will not eat a chip unless it's got mayonnaise on it. Is it 8 million Belgians? I have no idea how many Belgians there are, but they're not wrong.
I don't know.
I think they might be wrong. Sorry,
Well,
I don't know. I feel there's a silent majority here that are.
I mean, we're not.
They're not very silent
right now.
No. I don't know. Like it's always very creamy because it's such like something. There's like you're spreading it on your bread or whatever. And I'd always choose like butter hands down over it, or margarine potentially. And if it's a sauce, I'll always choose ketchup or brown sauce over it.
I accept your point that there are sandwiches that include it in the sandwich section in the supermarket that you probably don't want it. But I'm trying to remember which supermarket it is where there are lots of sandwiches that are labelled no mayo.
Yes, they have it. If they have no mayo, they usually have it very prominent, which implies to me that there are people who hate it so much that they need to put that in huge
Well, I think
print.
some people are allergic to it. I think that's the problem because it's made with eggs, or maybe people don't want to eat it if they're pregnant or something like that. I think that's the reason for that. It's not for you picky people. I never thought I would say that. I thought I was the pickiest person I knew with regard to food. But
I'm sure it's the amount of rants the manager of any supermarket has gotten from, why don't you have any non-mayo sandwiches here?
Well, yeah, when I was younger, my mum would just ask everyone in cafes and stuff, or service stations. For some reason, I associate mayonnaise-filled sandwiches with motorway service stations.
That's a good point. They are, and the reason is because they would be really dry otherwise, because they keep them for too long.
Plus, I
think that's how it really took off as a sandwich filling.
In fact, I think maybe one of the reasons for my being overweight now is that so many times my mum would ask someone and they'd say, oh yeah, it does have mayonnaise in it, and so I just go, okay, can I just have chips then? Yeah.
And you should be having mayonnaise with the chips.
No,
that isn't going to happen.
No,
it's not
don't try and spread that around. I don't want to start living in some weird Twilight Zone world where suddenly I'm going to the chippy and they were putting mayonnaise on the chips beforehand.
How dare you talk about Belgium like that?
We have nothing against the Belgians.
No, we haven't. It's the Swiss we have a problem with.
Yeah. No, we don't have a problem with the Swiss either. They're number 11.
We don't have a problem with
I bet that the Swiss put mayonnaise on chips as well.
They're welcome to do it.
do, I'm bumping them down.
Oh no, it's gone. Alright.
Okay, so nothing good can come of mayonnaise. It's awful.
I've tried, listener. I've tried.
Are those like little dips that you get with pizzas? The garlic and herb ones, are they mayonnaise?
Garlic mayonnaise. Yeah. Yes. I feel the garlic balances out.
There you go.
they're quite
But it's because of the garlic, not because of the mayonnaise.
Yeah, garlic is the most delicious thing in the world, and you need it to counteract.
It's the only thing that can save mayonnaise is garlic.
Yeah, it's like the Batman to the mayonnaise's Joker.
But I thought the texture was the problem.
I mean,
the flavour of garlic hides so many issues.
The texture. It doesn't hide the texture.
It makes you forget about the texture.
Yeah. So I think it should go at the bottom of the list.
Yeah. Is that really? I mean, I think it's not great, but I wouldn't think it's the very.
He likes one version of it.
He likes a version of it,
and he wants to put it. At the bottom
my
of the
main
list.
thing is the flavour is just too creamy and milky kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't like the flavour either.
But then, the thing is, like, if you like mayonnaise, I'm not going to hold it against you too much. So if you eat a whole jar of mayonnaise in front of me, I will question your sanity.
So would I. But
I've heard some people do that. So
they're
too much.
Just as mad as you two.
Too much.
So Iron Brew is about the middle of the list.
It's definitely
it's a thing that some people like and some people don't, and one half of those people are wrong, and we seem to have a similar situation with the mayonnaise.
All right, Alex. I mean, you brought it. Is it definitely the bottom, or you've got another place?
I mean, I would put it pretty near the bottom personally, but
goodness.
I know that I can't.
Where Nutella?
So Nutella's a spread, right?
Yeah.
In the whole spread section
Yeah, I
there.
don't particularly like Nutella either, but mayonnaise is way more offensive to me because you don't just get Nutella as a default thing in sandwiches in the supermarket.
I seem to remember you like Cocoa Pops.
Yes.
So presumably you're going for lower than that.
Oh yes.
Okay. Right.
We need to get
Mark's
away
getting
from,
cross.
We need to get away from where I would put it because I would put it probably down in like the American tipping system area.
I don't think it's as bad as that.
Well,
no.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we need to put it. Where would you guys put it? Let's try and find a compromise if possible.
I'm thinking in the 50s somewhere.
Oh.
I personally would put it higher than that because I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
But, just averaging out at least two of the opinions. I'm ignoring Ewan because I don't know.
Where would you put it, Ewan? Drag it down from there.
I mean, I think low 50s.
Low 50s.
Just to sort of... I still would say it's probably lower than Nutella.
Definitely lower.
And lower than profanity, because profanity is, I mean, you have to do swearing. That's enjoyable to a certain extent. But just under profanity.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to.
If that's the best we're going to get,
if that's the worst we're going to get, I guess I'll put it there.
Yeah.
If I'd known it was going to go that high, I would not have brought it.
Oh dear.
Okay,
well, you've still got nudges and grudges, Alex.
I have, indeed.
You've got the nudge and the grudge.
Okay. Whew.
Wow.
Mayonnaise enters at 62. That's
Okay.
really high. Oh dear. Okay. Mark, do you wanna bring your thing?
I can bring my thing as long as you promise not to be wrong about it.
Do your best.
Can't make any promises.
Okay, well, I would like to bring the television series Columbo.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Which ran for many, many years, from the late 60s until the late 90s, actually, or was the last one about 2000? Over about 80 odd episodes, and can currently be found on at least 2 television channels in the UK on weekend afternoons, which to me is a massive time sink, because if I turn on the television on the weekend, I'll go, I'll just look and see if Columbo's on. And it tends to be, and there tend to be 3 on, actually, one after another, and I'll just sit and watch them, because it's brilliant. You see, so Columbo, for those who don't know, as we always say at this point, is about a Los Angeles Police Department detective who tends to be drafted in to solve murders that have been committed by people who are not quite as clever as they think they are. They tend to be rich people as well, or people who at least have a more glamorous lifestyle than he has. He comes across as kind of a shambling fool to a certain extent, a guy who doesn't really know what he's doing, doesn't really fit in any particular circumstance, and he'll turn up and demonstrate that these people are morons, and he can easily work out what they've done wrong and go, there you are, I've caught you, that's fine. And it has the unusual thing for a TV detective show where it will show you the murder at the beginning, because the point is you work out how he's going to work out how they've done it. And you can obviously play along at home, which is very exciting. As I say, there are 80 odd episodes of it, and they're on all the time, so you can usually see one you haven't seen before, and you can go, aha, he's got to spot that the guy's got matches in his pocket, and he also has a lighter in his other pocket. This was last weekend. And then they kept him warm in an electric blanket, and then they put him in a car, and they pushed the car off the cliff, and he didn't really die there, and yeah. So all of these things will happen, and it's just generally brilliant.
Cool.
So first then, on the list.
Number one,
Mr.
Columbo. I've not watched an episode of Columbo. I've watched scenes from it. Not because I don't like it at all. I just like, it's one of those things, it's like Murder, She Wrote kind of thing. It's like, I've seen it on the TV while channel surfing kind of thing. Like, oh, there's that Columbo sort of show. It's probably one of those things where I feel like if I'd grown up watching it, I could potentially have enjoyed it. And I'd always do kind of feel like that kind of, as you described, where you kind of work out the crime alongside the detective is always great. And it shows like, I think, really good writing skill in terms of like being able to sort of construct a plot that's not too obvious but not too complex at the same time, or you have to be like ridiculously kind of like, oh, but it was actually the colour of that man's shoes that was the whole thing that gave it away kind of thing. It's like, that's really minute details. And also I do love a sort of like called it kind of moment where I said that at that time before they revealed it, so yay me, I'm so smart. So it sounds like a lovely detective show.
I think you'd enjoy it.
I've heard he's a good character. He's like got sort of a gruff voice, and he goes like, but you know about this is this.
He's a great character, and he can talk to anybody, right? And he will always give the impression that he doesn't know what he's doing, while simultaneously knowing exactly what he's doing. So his famous thing is asking slightly too many questions to somebody until they start getting annoyed, and then he'll go, oh, well, that's it, thanks, sir, I just need to fill in a report. And then he'll start walking out of the room, and he'll get to the door, and he'll slap his head, and he'll turn around, and he'll go, oh, just one more thing, and then they'll be really annoyed by that point, and they'll answer that question truthfully, and that'll be the thing that he actually wants to know.
That's how they get you. So it's a kind of reverse Sherlock, where he's not like Mr. Smarty Pants just comes in straight away and says, "You got this kind of thing."
Yes, he's very smart, but never appears to be that smart. From a making TV, making film kind of point of view, because it was made over lots of episodes over such a long period. There are some really interesting things you can notice in the late 60s and early 70s ones. There's a lot of kind of occasionally psychedelic camera moves and random sort of screeching sounds will come in, and they'll do sort of coming up tonight recaps at the beginning of the show with these weird screeches over the top of them, and then he'll turn up and just be weird. It's good. Yeah. Tell me you've seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my god.
Sorry, yeah.
Because you're a fan of that kind of
I
stuff.
really like mystery stuff, and yeah, I've always sort of meant to watch it, but it's one of those things that's never been... It wasn't really on TV when I was growing up anyway, so it wasn't one of the things that I latched onto. So I've never really got round to it. I want to, because I've heard very good things about it, and the character, from what I've heard, really appeals to me. It's sort of like...
It had probably finished in its heyday by the time you guys were growing up. Now, when I was little, which would be like 10 years earlier, it was at that point having a kind of a revival of being the big thing on a Saturday night. And ITV on a Saturday night would have a new episode of Columbo in the mid-90s, and this was a big kind of event, and he was still driving the same car and wearing the same shabby raincoat that he had been 40 years previously, and he just looked a bit older. Peter Falk, very great actor, sadly no longer with us. It was a real event, and you should definitely get yourself on, what is it, ITV3 on a weekend, or 5 USA, both show it.
Isn't there a film that's sort of made in the 90s, I'm guessing, that has like a bunch of different detectives, or caricatures of different detectives from different sort of detective things? Like there's Columbo,
right,
there's the Murder, She Wrote character, there's the kind of, what's the sort of film noir character from the sort of 50s or 40s kind of guy?
I know who you mean. Yes, I know
sort
who
of
you mean.
The Maltese Falcon, that kind of thing. And there's all those kind of ones, and they sort of, I don't know, they're having a little detective competition in a sort of
I have
murder
not seen
mystery
this.
thing. Alright, apparently it's there, so I just bring up as like, I think the Columbo character is one of the characters in it, and I think even Peter Falk is actually plays him. I'm not sure.
I've also seen it done on stage a few years ago. They got Dirk Benedict to play Columbo. Dirk Benedict being Face from the A-Team the first time round. And he actually plays him incredibly well. And if they wanted to make new ones, that would be the guy they should go and see, because they do a stage show of the original Columbo pilot episode, which is called Prescription Murder. It can be fairly easily done as a stage show because it takes place essentially in one flat and one outside a swimming pool. They're all terribly posh people in Columbo. They all have swimming pools and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, I like it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's one of those things I feel like I like, even though I haven't seen it, because I've heard so much sort of stuff about it. And I think Stephen Fry said it was like his favourite TV show.
Oh, yeah.
That probably made me go, oh, I should definitely watch that at some point. But yeah, I want to put it high up because you sell it very well.
I would say don't start watching it if you value your weekends, because you will find yourself sitting for most of Saturday afternoon and most of Sunday afternoon watching the damn thing. But anyway, I think we should put this quite high on the list. I would be appreciative of. I would say I think it's better than Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I have to tell you. So, you know, we're going to be in an argument with Switzerland, possibly. But,
okay.
I think there or thereabouts. I think, personally, probably better than Bob Dylan. But I know that's going to be a bit of a hard sell.
Yeah, I think it's going to be maybe too hard to sell.
What do you think, guys?
I want it to be high up. I don't really have an opinion on the specific place when it comes to that level. I mean, Ewan will defend Bob Dylan.
It really is hard for me because since I haven't seen
yeah,
Columbo at all, I mean, if I actually seen Columbo and then I had an opinion of it, like whether I liked it or not, would factor in more. But because I don't have really anything to go by,
it's sort of a bit pointless for us in a way to try and move it down just because we haven't seen it.
We need another Columbo person, or person that's watched it anyway. Yeah. But it has to go somewhere. I don't know. Is it better than marriage?
Is it better than marriage? I don't know.
Marriage is pretty important.
I don't know. Maybe if I didn't sit and watch Columbo every weekend, I could plan a wedding. You know? maybe that's why I am where I am at the moment. Hi, Val.
Hi, Val.
See if she listens, eh? How about we put it... I'd love to put it in the top 10, but...
I mean, marriage...
Is it better than marriage?
Marriage is... I have mixed feelings about marriage. I mean, when we put it on, I did feel like we had to put it quite high because Alana was getting married.
She was about to get married,
She was about to get married. And because we were talking about it in that context, I had a lot of positive associations with it. But in general, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens with it as well. So I feel like it could be
so you have
worse
to be
than Columbo.
You have to be aware that one of the recurring tropes in Columbo is he will frequently talk about his wife, Mrs. Columbo. And if he's talking to some famous novelist or something and he suspects them of the murder, it'll be all, oh, my wife is such a big fan of yours. Could I get your autograph? And then he'll see whether they're left-handed or right-handed and all that kind of thing, you know. I saw a great one yesterday where he was doing the thing where he wanted the autograph for his wife and the murderer says, oh, all right, what's her name? And he goes, Mrs. Columbo.
Well, I like that kind of lampshade hanging there.
You also never find out his first name either. It's a bit sort of
Mr. and Mrs. Columbo.
Pre-Inspector Morse. Lieutenant Columbo.
Oh, Lieutenant Columbo.
What's your first name? They say to him. Lieutenant. He will say, there you go.
Well, he sounds funny as a character.
Yeah.
The internet will tell you his first name is Frank, but anyway, never mind.
Don't ignore them. What do they know? The internet.
The internet.
Let's not talk about them again.
Ugh.
I don't feel like... I don't know. It does feel like if I talk to a lot of people that I would know, I don't think they'd know Columbo or have watched
because
Columbo.
of their generation.
No, but I think I could ask my parents and ask them about Columbo, and I don't think they'll know Columbo.
I bet they would would know.
Let's call them up now.
I think get your mum and dad up here.
And is it better than marriage?
All right.
Right. Perfect.
2 questions.
Maybe when they're not together.
Do you know Columbo? Is it better than marriage? It's called better than marriage. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
my mum is a fan of Columbo.
Okay. If I do ask my parents and they'd like know Columbo and watch a lot of Columbo, then I'll happy to put them up even a few more places next time round.
Okay.
But I do feel like there's a lot of people I could talk to and they wouldn't know about Columbo, and there doesn't seem to be a massive like appetite. It's like, oh, this is the one series of all that generation of that series that you need to watch, is imperative.
But what would you say that is that series?
People say Star Trek is pretty important to a certain extent.
Okay.
As a show goes. Before that, Alfred Hitchcock presents his things, or Alfred Hitchcock presents, I think that was a show called. The Twilight Zone was very important to a certain extent.
But
Quite a bit about Columbo.
in each case, there's only a very small overlap there. Columbo was running from the late 60s until 2000.
Yeah.
And Star Trek, okay, there are several different incarnations of Star Trek, but I think the Star Trek people will tell you to watch is the original series, probably.
Yeah.
Which is early 70s.
I mean, some people rave about the Patrick Stewart sort of section
True.
as well.
True.
Let's not get into that territory. That's dangerous
yes,
territory. But I feel like Columbo, to me, is one of those shows where it's like it's got a sort of a skeleton sort of setup of like, this thing happens at the beginning, this thing happens next, and this is how it concludes, kind of thing. And then the next episode, we're back to square one again. When I know shows that have, well, you can say the same thing about Star Trek. Maybe not Twilight Zone.
It's just sort of how TV used to be.
Yeah.
Really.
The only constant is partway through he gets a dog, and then after then he has a dog.
But like,
the dog's name is Dog, by the way. So
would you say there's like dog's name is Dog? I love the naming conventions. All right.
Because it has a dog, you should want to put it.
Yeah,
higher,
this is true.
That's true.
It's a good point. Good point.
I'll
Thanks,
put
Alex.
Dogs so much.
Thanks, Alex.
Jeez,
fan of
where's the
dogs.
anti-dog brigade has come around? Anyway, I just feel like, does it have much in terms of social commentary? Did it sort of change TV shows after it came along? Did it sort of make the detective TV series the big thing that it kind of comes and goes again? Or was it just another one of those things that sort of scratch an itch? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it started life in kind of rotation with a bunch of other detective shows, and American telly would show one on a Saturday night once a month. So they had 4 of them. They would rotate, and obviously detective things are a kind of perennial, right? There's always a detective thing on telly. You can turn on the telly now on any channel you like. I mean, right now Columbo will be on.
Yeah. No, I know, because I mean, obviously, like police and crime thing, it gives you instant drama to sort of work with, sort of a story to sort of work around. Yes, totally. I just feel like it's Columbo the great thing sort of thing, or is it just because you like the character and that kind of stuff? I don't know. I'm just trying to sort of work out.
It's the American equivalent, I think, of Inspector Morse, in that it's a thing that's been going for a very long time, and it is very good at what it does. And now you're going to tell me you've never seen Inspector Morse?
I haven't seen Inspector Morse.
For goodness sake!
I'm happy to put it above Marriage and below Bob Dylan until the two of us educate ourselves.
Should we watch some of
Fine.
it and then come back with a
Fine.
report?
We could do.
Okay.
Columbo number 10.
I think you're very lucky.
right?
You should be very
There we
grateful,
go.
Mark. We've been very
I'm-
for something we have
That's-
no real clue
you're-
about.
That's a good result, I think. Just one more thing. That's fine. Thank you.
Yes, Columbo enters at number 10, and we don't have one more thing because that's all the things for the first segment.
Ho-ho!
We're now moving on to Cram Session. In Cram Session today, I was thinking of possibly learning about Venus flytraps.
Ooh.
Does anyone know anything about Venus flytraps?
Not
Just
a great deal.
the general gist of it, the popular culture gist of it, probably. So yeah.
Yeah, we should learn what's going on with them. And we have 5 minutes to do so, and then we'll come back and decide whether to put it. Well, not whether to put it on the list. We will put it on the list, but where? Where? Stay tuned and find out.
Okie doke. Some interesting factoids, yeah. So there are a plant that's called the Venus flytrap.
Yes.
Something I read about the name is down to the fact that potentially, did you read up on this?
Yes.
That it's people who are naming it were to do with potential. It looks similar to the lady parts.
Your
giggling.
face while you were explaining that was just.
I didn't read that.
Oh, well, you obviously missed the main part of the whole project.
I have found that they are available for £6.37 with free delivery from Amazon.
That's
Really?
a
That's good.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, both Thomas Jefferson and Charles Darwin would have been really interested in that factoid because they apparently were big fans of the Venus flytrap, and Thomas Jefferson spent a long time trying to get seeds for it to grow themselves.
Wow.
So, but he didn't. But they were back, so some
In
important
your face, Thomas.
Exactly. Mr. President. So.
He could have just gone and got some. They are native to the southwestern United States.
Well, that's where he was trying to get there, but he struggled apparently. Maybe running the nation was tough as well.
Well,
So.
well, yeah. He'd
The
be up in the northeast, I guess.
excuses.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise how localised they were. Like it said on the Wikipedia page, they were native only to North and South Carolina
All right.
until they were moved elsewhere in the world. I had no idea that was where they were from either.
Yeah, you think they come from
I thought they were more tropical, but apparently
Yeah.
they're not actually that good at surviving in tropical
It's weird,
environments. They need a winter in order to survive the wither and die.
So we know they eat flies and
insects.
insects. Do we know why they eat insects? Did you find that out?
I didn't find that specific thing out. Tell
Okay,
us.
this is because for any plant, nitrogen is an important nutrient for growth. Normally, plants will get nitrogen from the soil, but in the places where these things grow, North Carolina, South
I think it's
Carolina,
specifically like coastal bogs and stuff.
southeastern United States, I'm wrong, yes, North Carolina and South Carolina, yes, there's no nitrogen in the soil there. So what they have to do is get the nitrogen from somewhere else, and the place they've decided to do that from is from insects. So
Yeah.
that's kind of clever.
That's a good solution.
I'm also told that they can count.
Count.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
The whole system works on them being
the
able
trap
to count.
system,
The,
yes,
the trap
yeah.
system. If you brush one of their hairs once, then the trap won't close. If you brush it twice, it will. If you are trapped, however, do not move, because if it counts you moving more than 5 times, it will start digesting you. So if you're a fly and you're caught, then stay still.
Just hang out.
And then within half a day, it'll let you out again.
Not bad. solution.
Clever things, these.
Yeah.
I mean, they are very impressive as plants go.
Yeah, as in case people haven't seen them, we should explain. They're sort of, aside from looking like lady parts, which are only from a certain angle.
Only from a certain angle, but this is named via the Greeks and the Romans did it.
Oh,
kind
they
of
were
I
just
see.
obsessed with
well, yeah, because like
parts
Venus
and
is
parts and that.
the female goddess in Roman mythology, and its Latin name, Dione something or other, is named after the Greek equivalent. Dione was Venus's basic equivalent.
But basically, it almost looks like they've got a mouth
Yeah.
of sort of leaves or plant matter.
Yeah, plant
and
matter.
and then when insects land on them, they will snap shut and digest the insects. But yes, as Mark said, they have a mechanism where they need to detect it moving a certain number of times. It says 5 on Wikipedia. I don't know if that's always
that's
the
what I
standard.
read.
But yeah, that's to stop them from wasting energy by snapping shut on like raindrops or something.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
other things that happen to hit them.
Which is very smart.
Yeah, it's amazing that that could happen with evolution, like the fact that
The system.
it must have happened in so many stages, and there was just a gap in the market in North and South Carolina in these bogs where other plants couldn't grow, I suppose, because of the lack of nitrogen in the soil, and then
They came along and
clever
figured it out.
plants were like, we got this, we can work something out.
Yeah, we can sort this.
They use nectar as well to attract the flies and all that to come and sit down and all that. And they even caught a couple of frogs as well, apparently.
Wow.
Not just that. It's not.
Frogs can be pretty small.
Yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, they're quite impressive. I always I think the first time I probably over saw it was like in a sort of Hanna-Barbera sort of cartoon kind of thing where it's like a gigantic version of it.
Yeah.
Or like sort
Have
of.
you seen Little Shop of Horrors?
Yes.
Yes, as well.
Audrey 2 from that is basically a massive Venus flytrap, although, I mean, she's not exactly like one, but same basic idea.
Yeah, totally. They're cool. I like them.
They're a bit scary. Like, if they were bigger and could catch humans, that would be terrifying.
I think I have actually seen one in like the flesh and actually put my finger to it and it sort of
they're
snaps
not
shut.
that
And it's
scary.
kind of creepy.
It's creepy, but it's not. It doesn't hurt. Because they're so
No.
like kind of small that when they snap shut, it's not actually sore. It's just like a little bit pressure.
Yeah, totally. Hardly even a nip, really. But there's something about it that just feels like, oh, this thing's not moving. Oh.
I know it sort of blurs the line between animals and plants a bit, where you suddenly start to question what separates an animal and a plant. I know there is technically a thing to do with the way that they produce food and stuff, but it doesn't seem as clear cut suddenly when you look at Venus flytraps.
To me, for some reason, they feel like the badasses of the plant world kind of thing. They're sort of like you feel.
Not many contenders for that category.
No, you
I
feel.
mean, cactuses are sort of like that, but they're more
Kind of.
defensive.
They're defensive kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like most plants, in a certain way, are kind of very passive. Or that they're like they'll sort of roll over and let animals do whatever they want, kind of thing, or insects or that kind of thing. Venus flytrap's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be my own plant and do what I want. And
that's quite
hell with
inspiring.
whoever else.
Yeah.
So I support Venus flytraps and their kind of independence and badassery.
Independence for Venus flytraps.
Yeah, respect for them.
Good points. They're apparently also slightly vulnerable in terms of the number of them in the world.
Really?
Okay.
They said that in 2015 it was estimated there were less than 33,000 of them.
Is it like a sort of bug going around or something, or is it?
It doesn't really mention on Wikipedia, so I can only assume that humanity has no idea.
Because you always feel like you buy them somewhere in like, you know how like you can buy mini cactuses and they have a little sort of picture of the desert next to it. You could like do the same thing for the Venus flytrap in a way. Did Gavin get one?
Seems like the sort of thing you would do.
Did I thought someone gave it as a
don't know.
birth present, or am I just
Maybe.
imagining it? I feel like I've got a vision of that.
Yeah, that rings a bell. I don't
Was
know.
it because of Little Show of Horrors
It
that
might
someone
have
got
been,
it for
that
his
might
birthday?
He is a fan of
He's Little Shop, he is.
He put on a production of it in high school as well, so it might have been after that.
Yeah, I think it was. That was the reason.
Yes.
Anyway, so
They're good. I don't know.
I respect.
I respect them, and they probably have some. Although I suppose if there's only 33,000 in the wild, they can't be that important to the ecosystem of the world. But I'm sure in the ecosystem they're in, they're probably quite important.
I mean, if there are things that are eating kind of flies and that kind of stuff, then that's quite useful. I support things that take out flies.
They also eat spiders, though, which would take out flies. So I don't know if they're actually reducing the fly population or helping them out by taking them out of their enemies. Anyway, yeah, it's hard to know where to put this. I don't think we have any plants.
I don't think
We've
there are
got
any plants.
bananas, which are a fruit, but it's a bit different from that.
I'd say up high.
Yeah, maybe. I like bananas more than Venus flytraps, but I know that bananas are more controversial, and Mark has feelings on them that are
They could be going extinct as well.
bananas.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Good.
Yeah, it's
No.
weird. Yeah, there's an article I read recently where like I think it's the King Edward bananas or something like that are the ones that we use just now, but it's got a lot of problems with
Is it Lord
illness. Lord Cavendish, sorry,
Cavendish bananas, yes.
banana.
Yes.
And like apparently before the Cavendish banana, we were using another banana that apparently was even better tasting. Have we talked about this?
We
on the
have,
thing?
yeah.
We have.
That
Okay,
was-
sorry, I'm dealing with.
No,
old
it's okay.
ground.
That was what was speculated to be what banana flavour sweets were modelled on. although
right.
That is a very dubious claim, apparently.
Anyway, apparently there's a disease wiping out our bananas, and we have to get a better version of bananas coming soon. So.
Oh well, never mind.
See the tears running down Mark's cheeks right now.
I wonder if Venus flytraps should be near zombies.
Zombies.
Zombies
Yeah.
are in the 30s there. Because they're kind of that sort of thing, aren't they?
They're like the monsters as well of the plant world.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
There are
yeah.
monsters in the plant world. It's pretty much them.
I just under hill walking.
We probably need a ruling on whether they're better than urban exploration or not. We're missing James at this point.
That's
Yeah.
true. I mean, I'm assuming he would put urban exploration above them.
I think
I don't think he has any particular investment in Venus flytraps.
they're probably less dangerous to us than urban exploration could potentially
I
be.
think so.
True.
Because we're not flies or spiders or
Yeah.
small frogs.
I think they're cool with us, Venus flytraps. We've got a good sort
Yeah.
of
They do have
understanding.
some. They've got some in the Botanic Garden in
Yeah.
in Glasgow. I imagine they have them in Botanic Gardens everywhere.
I think
So you
they
can
do.
go and play with them. I mean,
Yeah.
you shouldn't, but you know you can
Pet
you
them.
can go and pet them if you want to.
Let them nip you.
I don't think I'm going to support on this, but I would definitely put them below blue.
Full blue.
Hello, blue.
I know you
Okay.
is pretty indifferent to the colour blue.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with your sort of thing about the population of Venus flytraps, they are not a massive thing and not
Yeah.
a big involvement in most things. They're kind of a novelty, I guess. As much as I respect Venus flytraps, they are a novelty, while blue is more everywhere, I
Yeah.
guess. Okay, I could see under blue then.
Between blue and urban exploration. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Good with that.
That was a tricky one, to a certain
It was.
extent. It's
That's-
hard
that's
to
a little
land
bit
on Venus
difficult.
flytraps. Yeah.
I think blue's in the wrong place though. There.
Oh.
I'm not sure in which direction it's wrong, but I'm not sure it belongs there.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, that was cram session. Venus
Oh.
flytraps entered at number 39, and now we'll move on to the thing about that. In the thing about that today, we are talking about. Ooh, have you worked it out from our hints?
No.
Do you want to reveal it? Someone, Ewan?
Is it the internet?
Yes!
Ah.
It's the thing that we are using to convey this to you, listener.
True.
Yeah, the internet. Thought it'd be interesting to get some little things about it. We have maybe a couple of sort of related things on the list already, but we need to expand more into the online realm.
The web.
Yes.
I can start.
Go on then.
This is going to be a bit weird, but go with me.
Alright.
It's going to be
Cool.
fine. The thing from the internet that I'd like to talk about is a podcast called Everything versus Everything.
I thought you might.
And it's this thing where there's a guy called Alex, right?
Okay, go on.
And what happens is
Sounds like alright.
He seems to get his friends on there to talk about, well, like everything. So what they're trying to do, if you haven't heard it, is they're trying to put everything in the world in order from the best thing to the worst thing.
I'm kind of following you.
And they've done like 100 things, and it's just weird because there's,
I mean, I don't even see how that could work.
No, it's quite enjoyable though. I quite enjoy listening to it.
You can probably get a lot of like episodes out of it at least.
I mean, it would probably be. I'm guessing it's more about this discussions that come from that. The order is probably pretty. Arbitrary.
I think that's kind of the point. I think part of it's therapy as well for some of the people that are on there. They're really weird. Some of them, I don't know. There's this guy called Ewan who seems to always be on, and he turns up with dogs and all kinds of things.
Don't really like this character
that he's wrong about. It's just weird.
So pretty low down the list, I'm guessing.
I don't know. I honestly, I quite enjoy listening to it.
All right, okay.
But I don't know. It's just one of these podcasts where it sometimes seems like it's a bunch of blokes just talking about things, but they do have girls on occasionally. So they.
That's great. Yeah.
Good.
I think that probably improves it.
People just get girls on as like a token thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that. I mean,
assuming they only ever have one at a time, they would have an episode with more than one on.
I think
they need to work on that. Then
you're probably right.
They need some sort of guidelines, and they probably like have episodes where it's just guys.
I mean, they are a podcast, so they've not probably got like a budget or funding. So who knows, like how they can sort of rope into sort of that kind of stuff. When like you couldn't sort of hold that up against like a television panel show or something where they can talk to agents and that kind of stuff. So is it like a bunch of people that run it, or is it one guy? Or
this Alex guy seems important.
Okay,
because he's always there at the beginning and he tells us what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's all right. I quite like him. Yeah, so there's the Ewan guy is on. There's a guy called James is often on. He's quite interesting. He tends to talk about his hobbies, which I mean that's fine. I'm kind of interested in his hobbies. Mark, I'm not sure about. Not sure about him at all. He pops up occasionally. I don't really understand what he means about a ton of stuff. They had one guy on who said he was in Los Angeles, but he sounded Scottish to me, so I've absolutely no idea what that was about.
Well, it's sounding a bit untrustworthy then, this show.
I don't know, but so they've got this list, right? And they're trying to say that things are better than other things. And I think it's a neat idea. It's a neat idea. But, I mean, how do you compare Michelangelo's David and Red Pandas? I don't quite understand how they're coming up with these things.
I mean, obviously Michelangelo's David would be slightly above Red Pandas if the list was accurate.
I would think, yeah, I think so. I mean, they've done like 15 episodes of it or something. So they've got there's 100 and not very many things on the list.
Early days. Kind of.
Yeah, it comes out roughly once a week, generally on a Thursday. So, I mean, go and listen to it and tell me what you think.
I hope they don't do that thing where they just miss a random week and don't explain why they did it.
I think they did recently.
I hate when podcast.
It is a podcast.
It was the summer, right? I figured somebody was on
free,
holiday.
so you can't really complain about it.
I can't complain about
anyone complaining about a free podcast.
That would be unreasonable.
Yeah, that would be hugely.
Can I ask you a question about the list?
Yeah.
Have they talked about mayonnaise?
I don't know if they've talked about. I've not heard that.
Because my opinion of the podcast would probably depend on where they place mayonnaise on the list. If it wasn't right near the bottom, I would have no respect for that podcast at all.
So I was listening to episode 14 in the car on the way here today, and they certainly hadn't talked about mayonnaise up to that point.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if they... Maybe in 15, I don't know. I mean, it's an important point, mayonnaise. I think mayonnaise is great.
Well, this is why we're not on the podcast.
Absolutely.
We were talking about it together.
I don't
have a big argument.
I know.
Wow, quite contentious. Where do you think you want to put it then,
So
Mark?
we should put it on our list. I think it's a good thing. I'm pleased that such a thing exists because I think putting the world in order is an important thing to do.
Yeah. Mission statement goes.
I don't know. It's definitely better than the Loch Ness Monster.
I can understand.
Does that mean that doesn't even exist? Whereas this thing does exist. I don't know. I suppose you could put it next to being unable to stop laughing because it has done that to me once. I have to say.
All right.
That podcast. There was this bit they were talking about E17, and Alex was saying that was his favourite band when he was a child, although he'd never actually heard them. And it sort of transpires at the end of this story that he's never heard them, and then he goes that day and listens to them. It's really funny. You should listen to it. It's really, really funny. And I couldn't stop laughing for a few minutes. And they rant a bit as well, and that's next to...
Ranting's always funny.
Ranting's good.
Hopefully they've got ranting on the list.
Have ranting on the list.
At least somewhere around 29.
See, you're getting it. You're understanding the concept.
I can understand the concept.
I think you'd enjoy it.
I think I definitely would listen to that as a podcast.
Okay.
So, above the Loch Ness Monster...
Around about being unable to stop laughing, I think.
You're saying being unable to stop laughing. Alright, so...
Or having good teeth, anyway.
Where bothies are and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of area.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like, for some reason, I feel like it would be weird for me to have an opinion on this. But yeah, until I know their stance on mayonnaise, I'm fairly happy to put it wherever you guys think.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, as great as the podcast is kind of sounding, and I'm encouraged by its existence, I feel hands are more important for some reason.
Oh, okay.
And are more appreciable.
I think they'd be disappointed to hear that. But
yeah, I understand, and it's not nothing against them as such. I mean, I don't think I could probably listen to them without my hands, and I don't think I've listened to a podcast yet in which makes me appreciate the podcast more than hands. So it's not really down to just everything versus everything. It's just how nice hands are. Still, I feel everything versus everything does sound quite nice and very good.
Below hands, then.
Yeah, below hands.
Okay, sure.
Well, that nice bit of meta.
Cool.
Has
good.
Gone through. Thank you very much, Mark, for that.
Everything enters the list at number 29.
Good job. I'm bringing to the list Reddit.
Ooh.
Reddit, yes. Have you used Reddit, Mark? I think Alex has. I've been on.
I have, yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, not used.
Or been on.
I get spoken at about it by various people at work.
Okay.
They go, "Oh, you should see this on Reddit," and well, I'll stop there. Tell me what's great about Reddit.
I'm not going to say what's great or bad about Reddit because I feel quite neutral to a certain extent about Reddit. I feel like I understand the kind of the issues that people have with Reddit or sections of Reddit and that. I mean, to people that don't know what Reddit is, it's a website which has loads and loads of sort of like forums and sort of sub-forums and that kind of stuff. And it's the little bit when you Google Reddit, the webpage comes up, says Reddit, the front page of the internet kind of thing. And I think it's got a throw that out there is definitely they've got an argument to say that to a certain extent. But basically you go onto Reddit and it has like a little front page where it has like all this different sort of either articles being shared or news or GIFs or pictures of animals or loads of kind of stuff. And it's an interesting sort of internet culture that sort of lives on there.
Yeah.
Because I go on it and I think I use the more positive parts.
You use it for good.
I don't use it for good. I go on it to go to the more positive areas of Reddit, which there is quite a bit of. My main sort of reason for using Reddit, apart from the very sort of specific subreddits that sort of like go into sort of subject matter about, say, uplifting news, or there's another subreddit called Photoshop battles, which basically someone takes like a picture that has a very distinctive image of it, and then different people sort of Photoshop that image into other kind of things, like say a Star Wars poster or some of that kind of thing, and it's usually for comical effect, and it can be pretty impressive, and I really like that sort of developed there as its own kind of thing. But like I use it a lot of time for going on to see people discussing the current news sort of thing, world news and that kind of stuff, because I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot of opportunities in modern life to sort of like go to a kind of a summit or kind of a gathering of people and for people to sort of like have like express their opinions on matters. And I feel like Reddit sort of does that to a certain extent for me, where I can sort of like not just read the news but also read it how people's takes are on the news and their opinions of it are. And the way that Reddit's designed for posts, when people sort of like say post about a bit of news and their comments on it, there's a voting system where people who they comment something and a lot of people have agreed with it, so they can sort of push up the list of comments that get read, and people who say something that people think that either is bad or doesn't bring anything to the conversation, that's voted down, or that's how it should work rules wise. And again, it depends on who's sort of voting and how good the mods are kind of on the kind of the Reddit thing. So I feel like in my experiences it's mostly a bit better than say YouTube comments on videos or Facebook comments on videos or Twitter comments on videos, which feels more like just opening up the subconscious and getting blasted by so many different things. I feel
sewage.
By some nice bits of sewage and more rotten bits of sewage. But Reddit seems to, at least for me, have some form of order or system, or at least trying to. I mean, what's an interesting thing about it, because I hang out in a bunch of different subs in which people sort of complain about like, oh, it's all just a circle jerk of this kind of opinion, or it's all just a echo chamber of this kind of thing. But the ones that I feel like the best ones are where like both sides are sort of complaining about that, which means I feel like there's a neutral case.
I've noticed that as well, yeah.
People have said that about the BBC is like saying, oh, the BBC's always right wing, oh, the BBC's always left wing. So I feel like BBC's doing a good job then because it's getting both people yelling at it to a certain extent. And I feel good Reddit subs have that kind of stuff. And also, if you don't want to get into the more darker, bad side, there's loads of bits of Reddit which are just a bit of fun, a bit of silliness, a bit of gifs, that kind of stuff, or just deal with kind of very pop culture things.
Yeah, I used to go on it a lot. I went through a few years where I would basically check it all the time. It was one of my sort of websites that I would click through when I was doing my endless cycle of just clicking on websites like Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Mail, blah 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 blah, just looping around all those and just waiting for something to change on one of them, and just wasting my life. I enjoyed it mostly when I was there. I didn't really post on it. I just read stuff and sometimes upvoted and downvoted. And compared to a lot of places on the internet, I didn't find it too bad. There were definitely very bad places on it, but I didn't really see them because I think maybe what people, outsiders looking in, don't really get about it is it's not one sort of forum really, it's a bunch of different ones, and you can subscribe to the ones that you like.
And ignore the ones you don't.
Okay, so you can ignore it, right.
So you don't get the worst stuff by default. Well, actually, by the default subreddits now are a bit sort of trashy and quite sort of meme based, and in my experience when I go back there, it's all just memes on the front page, but that's if you're not signed in and you haven't got your own subscriptions set up and everything. But yeah, there's really bad subreddits where people do horrible things and plan campaigns of harassment against people, and I hate that sort of stuff, and that was part of the reason that I left. It's a bit weird that I felt the need to do that, because it's like leaving Twitter because there were people on Twitter who were saying horrible things, or leaving Facebook because there are horrible people who have Facebook accounts or something. But I felt like there is a sort of culture around it that I was beginning to not be entirely comfortable with. It felt like most people there weren't really condemning the sort of bad things that were happening. So I just kind of got sick of it and thought I don't want to really be here anymore. But it's totally fine to go to the subreddits you like, because some of them are completely innocent, have nothing to do with the bad stuff. And are entertaining or enlightening.
Some of them are quite positive. Yeah, there's ones about helping people with suicide or transgender issues.
And they do campaigns to help people. They raise money sometimes for good causes. So it's definitely not all bad.
I think in some sense it's kind of good that you felt the need to leave when people were using the platform for something you didn't like, because that makes it's more of a community, and you feel like they're using this platform that you enjoy in a way that you very much don't approve of. And as you say, you wouldn't really ever feel the need to leave Twitter because somebody you don't like has an account and is doing something with it. But I that kind of shows the difference to me between the two things, and I think that's probably a point in Reddit's favour, actually, if anything. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there was a sense that the site did have a sort of culture and identity, even though it's sort of a bit disparate and spread over lots of different subreddits. There was a sort of vague sense that I had, and it might just have been an illusion, because it is basically just a bunch of people with their own opinions.
But you felt that this is a kind of thing I'm part of, and in fact at the moment don't wish to be part of, because
pretty much. It wasn't really a massive statement or anything. I just got a bit sort of disillusioned with it, because for a while I did think this is a great place and it's very positive, and the shine just kind of wore off when worse stuff started happening on some of the subreddits. And
I think it was hard to really tell, but I feel it's gotten better. I mean, there's a famous sort of case in terms of a witch hunt coming from Reddit where it was to do with a terrorist attack in America, and some person was accused of being a terrorist and ended up losing his life, and Reddit or people posting on Reddit definitely had an involvement, which is more than what should be.
There was a little trend of people trying to do detective work on Reddit, which mostly consisted of finding photos and then sort of drawing over them and being like, this guy's the same as this guy, that means this guy's did this horrible thing. And that was just silly and I feel harmful in some ways.
Whenever
I can't blame the whole site.
If I haven't even seen anything like that, I feel like it's now being denounced a lot stronger these days. There's a sort of cultural weirdness on Reddit of let's not go down that path. Again, different people have different opinions, and that it's probably more happening now on a site like 4chan or something like that.
Oh yeah, let's not dwell on them for too
long.
No. Say their name too often, they'll appear.
Yeah, but when Reddit's working, right, and where it's sort of dealing with, say, political news and that kind of stuff, I do feel like sometimes read a nuanced opinion of something where both the left wing and the right wing discuss it from their sort of point of view.
Well, that's a rare thing in the internet world.
Yeah, in the internet world it definitely is. It feels to me, even if it might not always be factually accurate, but at least someone writes quite a nuanced sort of post
and people
that gets thinged up.
And I was encouraged, when I was there regularly, I was often encouraged by the fact that thoughtful posts tended to get voted up, even when there were things that weren't necessarily the sort of popular opinion. If they were thoughtful and, not just horribly racist or something, and they made interesting points that people wouldn't otherwise really think about, then they tended to get upvoted, which was encouraging, I thought.
That's the main thing I feel is encouraging.
Yes,
is
I
that
think
it brings a sort of democracy.
There's a sort of democracy to it in that you upvote opinions you agree with, and that could also be accused of being a bit weird because it could silence minority opinions as well, just completely basically make them invisible. Because if enough people disagree with something strongly, then it will get voted down until you can't see it.
Well, that's the thing, I guess, is when it's being used right, I guess. It should be where...
It's not a perfect system.
It's not a perfect system, but it's democracy for you, sorry.
Well, yes.
Anyway, Reddit.
This is a tricky one. Where do you think it should go? Because I have no idea, really.
Probably above Furbies.
Really? Wow.
Maybe around where urban exploration is. I mean, it's both fun to use, but it can be quite dangerous. If not used well, if not done with caution.
I might not put it that high, but do you have an opinion, Mark?
I don't have a strong opinion. The opinions I do have of it are not good, but that probably because I don't use it myself, so the only stuff I hear about is the bad stuff, or the tedious stuff that people show me. Oh, you should look at this on Reddit. And why? What? I've got enough to look at, thank you. So I'm not that well disposed towards it, but what you say makes sense. Obviously, there are good things about it.
I think there are some really good things about it in terms of when it gets into issues where, like a sort of read sort of subreddit that's called 2X's, which is sort of like a subreddit that sort of deals with sort of women's opinions on matters and that kind of stuff, and obviously it sort of deals with sort of feminism and looks at sort of both the bad things happening with women's health laws, but also sort of positive sort of stories, improvements, that kind of stuff. It's good there's a place there that people can come and post and explore and that kind of thing. And there's other stuff like LGBT and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people can go there and be helped and assisted.
There's a wide array of communities there, which is kind of nice. There's some quite niche subjects or communities that you wouldn't necessarily know where to go to find other people to talk to about it, but
people have met their significant other on Reddit.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Which is lovely. They've met their mortal enemy on Reddit as well, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand the many bad things, but
I'm trying to rate the world. There's so many facets to it, and every time I think of something really good that's come out of it, I think of something bad. It's just hard to balance, but I don't think I'd put it quite as high as urban exploration. Maybe above Furbies, below Nightmare, but if you're determined it should go higher, maybe it can.
I feel it should go a bit higher. I don't know, it's hard to...
Is it better than Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? No, I don't think it is.
I don't know, is the Eurovision Song Contest better than the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go. Now we know.
Yeah, it's at 44. Let's see.
I guess if you guys have such negative sort of views on it...
It's not purely negative, it's just that I have very mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, I understand your point. To people that don't use it, they only hear the bad stuff, which is obviously unfair.
I don't know, if you kind of feel like it's a website where there's a good number of people sort of posting sort of community social-wise, and when I put it compared to, say, something like Twitter and Facebook, which you guys probably use, I feel in many ways it's better than that sort of thing. And I don't know if you've got such a negative view on, say, Facebook. Then again, that could become a different discussion.
I mean, that's also quite thorny and...
Again, I'm fairly indifferent, really. I mean, do you have a good or poor opinion of people phoning each other to say things to each other? Well,
yeah, I don't really like phoning.
I don't like phoning people, but you know, even if I did, it's perfectly possible to ring somebody up and call them whatever you like. Let's try and not swear on this episode so Alex doesn't have to say his thing at the beginning.
Alright, so just below Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban?
Okay.
I could do that.
I'm okay with that.
Cool.
Reddit enters the list number 46. Please don't start a campaign against our podcast.
What are you going to do, Alex, when we get the subreddit of Everything versus Everything on, and there's such a lovely community that are all listing their own
That would be
sort of
lovely.
things?
I probably won't go there because I feel very awkward about that kind of thing. So I appreciate if that has happened. I appreciate it, but I will never talk to you guys.
Oh. You're not going to do an Ask Me Anything?
Because I hate you. No, not really. No, I wouldn't want to do that. It'd be really weird.
You can ask us, we'll ask him.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's how it usually goes.
Yeah.
Let's prepare for that highly likely eventuality. Okay, so that's 2 out of 3 of our internet things. My internet thing is also to do with podcasts, like Mark's. And my one is, I don't know how to exactly phrase it, but basically adverts on podcasts. I'm not inherently against them, and I don't want people to think I'm just sort of throwing shade. Is that a thing you can do?
Yeah.
Throw shade?
You can.
can
The
do.
young people do that.
Yeah.
The young people do that.
I'm not throwing shade at any other podcasts here because I don't think we're better than them.
Oh, you're so woke, Alex, you know.
I'm on fleek.
I really don't get that one. I'm just like, sorry, I'm an old man now, it seems.
Okay, but yeah, so I don't want to say that they're inherently a bad thing, adverts on podcasts, because they allow podcasts to happen that might not otherwise be able to happen, and they allow people to make a living doing podcasts, which is an awesome thing, I think, because I really like podcasts, and the more people are able to actually make them a viable business model, I'm happy about that. And you know, if someday we become big and get approached by advertisers, I wouldn't want to think that I'm against advertising, because it'd be nice to have money. If not having money was on the list, it would definitely be below adverts on podcasts.
What if the advertiser wanted to advertise mayonnaise?
I don't think they would approach us now.
We burned that bridge.
Yeah, in fact, it might be dangerous getting advertisers for this one, because it's always possible we'll have said something horrible about them.
Well, I mean, I'm always for websites that have audiobooks on them and things about beds, very nice mattresses.
Yes.
Particularly mattresses, I think they're great.
Do you like getting toothbrushes in the mail on a regular basis?
I do.
Yeah.
Also,
And
really
shaving
as well. Really well fitting men's underwear as well.
Of course. Healthy snacks.
Yeah.
Ingredients to make
Packaged sort of meals.
Meals.
All of the things are fantastic. So I think we've covered those bases.
Sports cars? No.
No, that can go away.
Ways to make websites quickly and easily.
Yes.
So we've pretty much covered all the things. And that was one of the weird things about adverts on podcasts, is because there's a pretty limited number of things that they are ever for.
If you listen
pretty much just listed all of them, I think.
If you listen to a lot of podcasts, you get a lot of cross-reference. Specifically when the situation occurs where the person podcasting is the one doing the advert. It always feels weird. It's but funny in a way.
They're not inherently a problem, and I like the fact that they enable people to make money off podcasts. However, there are some podcasts, and I'm not going to name names here, but there are some where it feels like there's so many adverts on them, and like teasers for other podcasts on the same network and stuff like that, and teasers for things coming up later on this episode, that there's only about like 5 minutes of actual content.
Oh my goodness.
It's buried within a labyrinth of these sort of other things that you have to get through, and that frustrates me, because there are podcasts that I've heard really good things about, and then I listen to one and there's so much of that stuff around the edges of it that I just can't be bothered with it. And I think it's just about the ratio, really. There are just some that feel like they don't have enough content to justify that amount of advertising. It's the same as any advertising, I suppose. Like, American TV seems to have a ridiculous amount of advertising on it compared to ours. Like, commercial breaks seem to be longer and more frequent, and that just bothers me, because at some point you've got to kind of weigh up, am I getting enough out of this to justify the time that I'm wasting listening to people talk about mattresses endlessly? And some podcasts make it quite entertaining and have unique ways of doing it.
They'll talk about boxes of loot that are quite good.
And sometimes, you know, it'll be like a 3-minute advert in an hour-long podcast or something, and that's fine. I don't mind that. But sometimes it's like, it feels like it's 15 minutes out of a half-hour podcast, and that's just too much. Sorry, other podcasts. I'm not going to name you, but
shame.
I'm throwing shade at you.
Oh, podcast
in a vague
war.
Sort of way.
Consider yourself.
Even though I said
fleeked.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
You're on notice now.
Allow it.
Take that. I've not actually listened to the kind of podcast that you've sort of pointed the issue with, and probably would avoid them. They'd have to have a good bit of 5-minute content to sort of allow me to sort of get over that.
It feels like the ones that are in a sort of network of other podcasts, and some of the things they're advertising are just other podcasts on that network, which is fine, because that can be interesting. But I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I will sometimes just queue up a bunch of them, and sometimes if I'm listening to a lot in the same series, I'll hear the same thing over and over again, and it'll get really great.
Yeah.
So So yeah, don't do that, podcasts. Be more like us. Just don't make any money.
Yeah, don't make any money. We would accept sports car advertising, though, provided you turned up with a sports car
for Mark.
For us. That would be fun.
Well,
it's never that, though, is it? It's make your own website. We can
nice
make a
mattress.
website, thank you. Or a mattress, yeah.
A nice mattress. Box of loot. I can understand your points totally, Alex, and I can understand that podcasters who use advertisement totally get it. I mean, they're given pretty much a free service away. I can't really hold it against them to sort of find something that sort of pays for it a little bit.
As I think I said in an earlier discussion, you shouldn't really complain about stuff you're given for free. But when you're being advertised to, it becomes a little bit less clear whether it's actually free. It's sort of a bit of a grey area there.
Yeah, but I feel like, at least for the ones I listen to, that little 2 minutes at most that they do in the advertising thing totally pays for the hour of content.
I would say most podcasts, at least the ones that I listen to, because I tend to not listen to the ones that I'm complaining about here anymore, most of them are fine. Like, I don't mind when it's a small amount.
There's something a little bit old-fashioned about some of the advertisement way they do it. In terms of, like, there's like, this episode is sponsored by...
The fact that it's often the people on the podcast who are doing it.
And
it feels a bit sort of homemade and like...
Or like a sort of American sort of 50s kind of show, something like that. And our sponsor for the day is...
Even in some of the big ones, though, the presenter will essentially be reading out the adverts or reading out the sponsors and stuff like that. I have to say, I actually quite like the bit at the end of some of the big American podcasts where they say, and thanks to whoever putting the whatever, this American Life does it pretty well. Is what I'm thinking of, and I can't remember the exact phrasing, but to do with Lagunitas Brewing, putting the pub in public radio and all of that kind of thing. So we'll have some beer sent, thank you very much. I actually think that sounds kind of cool, but it is, as you say, fairly old-fashioned, but maybe that's how things are more in the States than here, because you get that on American radio. Don't start me banging on about that again. But
yeah, it is mostly American podcasts I'm thinking of, and not all of them, just a certain subset of them that I'm thinking of, because I think they're more used to advertising being kind of overwhelming and
integrated into the content as well, which historically here we haven't really had.
I guess it's sort of a culture clash really, where I'm just not used to it, so I shouldn't be complaining so much. I think adverts on podcasts, they're not the worst thing in the world.
No, I mean, definitely I have never done it where I've skipped past the adverts while listening to a podcast. That's definitely never happened.
No one's ever done that.
So that's definitely not a way of just like enjoying the podcast and getting not bothered at all by the podcast adverts, because no one would do that.
Yeah. Are they exactly 15 seconds long? That's what my skip button has on my podcast player.
I mean, if one were to sort of get those things, maybe not exactly, maybe a bit longer, but it's enough time to sort of basically get onto the section of the thing, but no one would do that, so
No.
we'd announce that.
No. Okay, so I don't know where they should go.
Let's stick them on the list.
Podcast ads.
Most of the stuff we've put on the list this episode has been quite high up.
Yeah.
I think this should be a bit lower.
I can understand that. As much as you tried with mayonnaise.
Yeah, I can't believe how high that ended up.
Mayonnaise is a high quality product which you should go out and buy immediately.
Right.
Maybe you could go around American radio stations, or maybe below, because actually
it is connected.
You quite like American radio stations.
It is connected. I do like American radio stations.
Maybe lower actually.
How are they compared to E17, Alex?
I mean, I might put them below E17.
Okay.
I could be thing for that.
This is the whole things that annoy Alex section here.
Yeah.
17 word twist. Bertie Bott's every flavour begins word.
I don't know that E17 annoy me.
They just weren't as good as you hoped they were.
Yeah, I typed them up too much in my childhood, I suppose. Can I put it below E17 then?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Adverts on podcasts enters at number 96, and that is all of our things for today, which just leaves us to do nudges and grudges. Okay, Nudges and Grudges is the very contentious section where each of us has the opportunity to nudge something up to 3 places, or grudge it down up to 3 places. So, who has an opinion here?
Everybody has an opinion here. Now, what normally happens at this point is I say, well, I'll tell you what, Alex, I would like to nudge down party balloons by as many places as you will let me. I think this is getting a bit tired now, and I think this is starting to annoy people. I don't know whether we should persist with this anymore. But party balloons are still above E17, and I'm not sure that's acceptable. So I'd like party balloons below E17, and then I've had it with party balloons. That will do.
That's that.
Okay.
All right.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Them down
All right.
One place this time.
One place down.
It's very restrained of you.
Yeah.
This is the new reasonable me.
Okay.
I heard myself on a podcast nudging that down by 3 and just thinking, you cunt.
That new haircut we gave you has definitely
being,
changed you there.
That stopped being funny the second time you did it.
Well, it's very admirable of what you did there, Mark, so...
Thank you.
Okay.
Release the party balloons to celebrate! It's like 4 places down now.
Do you have a phobia of them or something?
A little bit.
Understand the... Oh, okay.
Alright.
A little bit. And I don't like the noise they make, and they smell funny. And we've been through this.
It's just still such an innocuous thing to
change your mind.
Episode 3, everybody, I think.
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
missed that one.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Ewan, do you want to do anything?
Yeah. Even though it's just been putting on. Reddit, up 3 places! Ta-da!
Whoa.
Upvote! Give it gold!
Oh, God.
I'm not sure this is quite within the spirit of the thing. Here I am being magnanimous.
I know.
It goes above dancing, which is absurd.
That's fine with me. Screw dancing.
I will grudge mayonnaise down 3 places.
You were so adults, and then we just was like the most childish
This
thing
is
ever.
unacceptable. Right.
Well, thanks for listening.
This is what you get for being reasonable around here.
Okay, mayonnaise is now below the feeling at the start of the roller coaster ride, above self-service checkouts. We'll see how that goes next time.
Are you in the wrong place?
I agree. Okay.
The new party balloons.
There we go. That's our list for today. The number 1 thing in the world is dogs. The worst thing in the world is homeopathic medicine, and there are 115 things on the list.
Woo!
Until next time then,
See you next time.
yeah.
Yeah!
I was wondering whether to say that, but
Has that stopped being funny as well?
give it a few more. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Everything vs. Everything. Today's panellists were Ewan Gilmore, Mark Minto, and me, Alex Perry. Visit our website at everythingbeeverything.wordpress.com. Subscribe to our RSS feed, review us on iTunes, and all that good stuff. You can also check out my other silly podcast, Rainy Day Adventure Club, at rainydayadventureclub.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Today's episode of Everything vs. Everything was brought to you by Daily Mayo. Do you love mayonnaise? Sign up for Daily Mayo and you can get a selection of high-quality mayonnaises delivered straight to your door every single day, including delicious flavours such as normal mayo, garlic mayo, off-milk mayo, motorway service station mayo, Paffledon mayo, Simon mayo, and introducing new bubblegum mayo. To get 20% off your first order, just go to the Daily Mayo website and enter the offer code SICK. Warning, once you've signed up to Daily Mail, you will receive 3 bottles of mayonnaise per day for the rest of your life. There is no way to cancel. If you move house, we will find you. If you try to throw it away, we will sneak it into all your food when you're not looking. In fact, you don't even have to go to the website and enter the offer code. Just by listening to this, you have now agreed to the Daily Mail terms of service and will receive your first package of mayonnaise imminently. Your credit card has already been charged. Also, every sandwich, salad, bag of chips, drink, chocolate bar, or tube of toothpaste you buy will now contain mayo. Daily Mail, whether you like it or not.